Hello, everybody. It's Spider here, the Fight Car Podcast, coming to you once again from San Antonio, Texas. I'm inside the HOJ Training Center. As always, Mel Valenzuela is joining me today. My man, how are you, bro?
Hey, good morning. How are you?
And
Good
I'm
to be
doing
here.
great. No, no, likewise, man. I appreciate your time. I know we were talking a little bit earlier. I'm pretty sure you're faithful, to say the least.
I do have a lot going on, but I always make time to talk to people out there and let them know what we're up to.
No, by all means, man, and I appreciate that. A few things I wanted to ask you about, man, because of course, I mean, we like everybody we met through social media. I've had you on for a while. When I first got on board, when I added you, as a on Facebook, of course, you were working with Combate Americas at the time.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
when it comes to being a matchmaker, was Combate the first promotion you worked with, or were you working with somebody else prior?
No, 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 no. So the this all started. I started. I've been a big boxing fan since I was a kid. I'm in my 50s, so I go back to Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, and Roberto Duran. Those type of fights, and my stepfather would have a party at the house watching those fights. Later that became Julio Cesar Chavez, and then then to Oscar, then now to Canelo. So I've always been a fan of boxing. uh I've always wanted to get more involved, but my wife and I, we had our kids, we were pretty young. I was 21, so I didn't really have the time until finally about 14 years ago. I 13 years ago, I hooked up with a guy named Roy Engelbrecht here in Orange County in the LA area, and he pretty much started me on my way. I let him know that I was interested in matching, and he matching instead of boxing, which was ironic, right? Because I didn't really know too much about MMA, but I took a flyer, and Golden Boy. I also booked some fights on Golden Boy, boxing matches with guys like found opponents for guys like Frankie Gomez
Oh, nice.
and Omar Figueroa, those guys. So that was back when Golden Boy had their shows at downtown LA.
Right.
So that's when it really started. And then you asked me about Combate. Campbell McLaurin reached out to me on LinkedIn. So for those of you who think that you don't get any traction on LinkedIn, that's where Campbell found me. He
Yeah.
found me on LinkedIn, and the rest is history. There, I gave, I produced all their stars. We have about at least a handful of guys in the UFC now from the crop that I produced there, including Daniel Rodriguez, who's probably who fought there in San Antonio.
That's right.
Uh, one of the shows, the last show I did with Combate was in San Antonio. I remember. So
Okay.
yeah, it's been a over a decade now, over a dozen years, but we just kind of bob and weave, man, and take it as it comes.
No, and let me ask you, I mean, from your experience, I'm sure you learned a lot along the way, but what makes a good matchmaker? Let me ask you that.
I think your ability to sift through talent, and then let me quantify that statement. What I mean by that is you have to be able to become objective and know what you want to do. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. At the show I do here in Orange County, it's MMA in a ring.
Right.
So you're looking for strikers, you're looking for a certain kind of fighter. This is a boxing crowd. If you got fighters that are grapplers, it's not going to work.
Right.
So you learn how to pick and choose the fighters. You learn how to say no. Never to ignore, because I don't ignore fighters.
Right.
I do answer, but not all fighters work for any given situation. And then it's a gut feel too, man. There's no science to it. You kind of watch, and then you see what kind of fighters they are, and then you try to make the match, and you get this feeling. And I don't know, when I match my fights, I get pretty excited, and I say, wow, this is a great fight. I'm gonna see if I can make it happen. So there's no rhyme or reason, man. It's just this is the feeling, honestly. People say, oh, it's a science, you take it. Nah, that's ridiculous. I don't do it that way.
And let me ask you, of course, you got to be a fight fan, right? Because of course it's a match you want to watch. So of course you're thinking, okay, you know what?
Oh, listen, man, I'm the biggest fan. Probably as big of, as big of, not more of a fan than you are in the fight game, my brother. When it's fight night, I'm sitting there and I am watching the fights, bro. I get excited. You know, my wife tells me, "Man, you just sit down." Sometimes I just have to walk around and watch the fights because I get so nervous. I just wanna make sure the guys don't get hurt. It's a crowd pleasing fight. The promotion is happy. So yeah, I'm one of the biggest fight fans out there, and I'm blessed to have the opportunity to do it. To match fights and then be able to watch what I do and get paid, right?
No, no, yeah, definitely, man. I mean, it's like they say, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life, man. So you're doing that.
Absolutely, absolutely, yes, sir.
Now, I
Agreed.
will because when it comes to being a fight fan, I always tell people it's hard for me being on the media aspect because I'm always either doing video or photo. So it's hard for me because a lot of times I'm trying to watch a fight, but at the same time I'm trying to make sure I get the right footage. So it takes
Hmm.
me away from being a fan. But after the fights, of course, I watch, and there's a couple of matches that I'm looking forward to, and it kind of ruins it for me on my end. It's just, but
Yeah, yeah. You're working because you're working. Yeah.
yeah. But as far as right now, man, because of course you work for a couple of regional promotions in California, right?
Right, right. So I work for, as I said, Roy Engelbrecht, who does. Roy's been doing shows here in LA for I think 40 years, and we do half MMA, half boxing. So that is always a great show. He's got a cigar lounge. It's a great spot, and I love doing that. Then I do another show called Smash Global, which is another local regional promotion, which is a high end black tie,
Oh yeah.
MMA fights. So I'm doing that. Obviously, BYB is my main employer right now, and I'm waiting to see if Golden Boy, decides to do MMA again. I've done two of their MMA shows and their boxing show last year in June on Bally's Fight Night. I matched those shows for them. So I'm in contact with them off and on to see what the plan is with MMA, and we'll see. Hopefully, they decide to do it again, and in which case I would be working with them, trying to put on some MMA on Bally's on Sports Network. But we'll see.
Yeah, that'll be great. And let me ask you, because of course, I mean that's if it happens. But do you have some names in your head, thinking people you might already be wanting to match up for something like that?
Well, I mean, I always have, I always have my fan favorites, my strikers. Obviously, Ricky Palacios out your way.
Oh yeah, yeah,
El Gallero. I mean, that kid, he's got hands. There's a kid I just had on BYB, Toby Misek, who's
that's
a hell of a freaking striker. Now those two fought on the Contender, and I think Ricky won that. But those are the type of fighters that I look to put on a show like that. Guys that are going to bring excitement. Guys that Oscar I think would approve of.
right.
You know, so those are a few names. Again, there's so many fighters out there. The MMA now is not like the old days when you had grapplers that were learning how to box. Now you have guys that are well rounded, and this is MMA is their sport. They're not just specialists. They're all around good fighters, and that's what we're looking. That's what I would be looking for a show like Oscars is guys that are high level, guys that are going to bring it and leave it in there. And I'll tell you, man, Oscar's such a great guy to work for. At our show, he came out and greeted all the fighters. Fighters were starstruck. And I tell him, you never, these MMA guys look up to you. You're a fighter. You did the road work that they're doing. You got hit. You got hit in the face the way they do. You paid all your dues,
That's
and
right.
they love fighting for a guy like you who knows what it feels like to put the work in. So hopefully we get it done. Maybe this year. I'm not sure.
No, no. Well, hopefully, man, and that's a good point that you brought up because a lot of times the promoters. I mean, I've been covering the sport here in Texas for over 12 years. And back in the day, I mean, promoters would be walking around and fighters going up to them and they're like asking me, like, who's that guy? And I'm like, dude, that was your main event, bro. Like, they didn't even know,
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's sad because it's like, man, these guys just put on a hell of a fight, and I mean,
Yeah.
the sport has changed, of course. I mean, a lot of promotions, regional here in Texas, have came and left. But let me ask you, back to BYB, because there is a promotion coming up for May 28th.
Yes.
And some of the cards, some of the matchups are already on the poster. Are you still working on bringing people on there?
So the card is full now. I made my last bout yesterday, but let me first tell you about Mike Vasquez, who's the owner. He is a great dude. He is hands on, engages, knows who the fighters are, which is what you just brought up. Some of these guys have no idea who's fighting for them. Mike knows and is a fan and has put a lot of work and is putting his money into this
Yeah.
promotion. Um, he pretty much lets me, he knows what I can do and he allows me to get that flow. And you see what we've had some great fights, man. That triangle, the trigon is just amazing and it forces the action.
Yeah.
And we've got that collaboration with Britain, with the BKB in Britain now. So we're bringing their guys over and we're going over there. In fact, Mike is going out there in 2 weeks. We have a fighter out there.
Oh, nice.
We have one of their fighters, Ricardo. I can't think of his last name, coming here for this show in Biloxi. So it's gonna be fireworks, man. We have 3 female fights, and you know that Pati Juarez is on this.
Yes, sir.
And again, and I mean, Pati is amazing. She,
Yeah.
Eric Morales hooked me up with her. Eric Morales, the fighter, and she became our champion. Nobody thought she could beat Knuckles Stanley. And did you watch that fight
Oh,
between
yeah.
her and Christine Stanley? I mean, that was one of the greatest fights I've seen. Period, bar
Yeah.
none, male and female. She's back on here. She's fighting a local there, a Puerto Rican, a girl of Puerto Rican descent, Monica. So I'm very excited about that card. Uh, Again, I'm there, and those 3 or 4 hours, it feels like time flies when I'm watching these fights. And it's there's so much work to it, but so far we're looking to grow next year. Hopefully next year we're doing a show a month, which I think is about right. You don't want to oversaturate, watered down
Right.
fights. I think
Right.
right now we have the inventory of the stable of fighters where we can produce solid fights, and you can you start learning and becoming have favorites like Pati or Mattia Fonda or guys or gals that you see come up, and I kind of treat it like, you remember back in the day, WEC.
Oh,
You
yeah.
had all these fighters and Melendez and all these fighters that you became fans of, and then as even as they transitioned into the UFC. And I'm looking to do a grassroots here with these guys, and have them become fan favorites and have them grow in the promotion. We don't necessarily need to go out and look for the higher price talent, which is what it is. Let's call a spade a spade.
Right.
I think we can produce just as exciting fights with guys and gals that are hungry, that maybe the world doesn't know, but they're becoming known. So
Oh, that's true, man. And the fact that you guys are willing to invest on, I mean, the promotion as far as fighters, man, that says a lot, because of course a lot of promotions go for that money. They pay up and they bring a fighter in for maybe one fight. And for me, I mean, it attracts the casuals, the people that are out there. But when it comes to people that you're building up, man, it actually means a little bit more, because now the fighters are involved, the fans are involved, the promotion's involved.
right.
So it becomes for a good buzz, and I'm all for that, man. I'm definitely a fan of that.
Yeah, and as you can see on social media, we've got our fans.
No, yeah,
We've got our people that are hardcore and that are engaging and that message me. And listen, if I can, talk to these guys and fill them in a little bit, I don't mind, because without the fans, we're nothing, man. Without guys like you that help us, we're nothing. It's all a team, and you got to realize that, man. We're not the big bad, promotion up here that thinks they're mightier than you. Than what's that say? Mightier than thee.
you're
That's
right.
not us, man. We're it's a family. It's a close family. You know, they're now the MMA world is starting to spill into the boxing world. You see that,
Oh yeah.
you know. You got Anderson Silva knocking out Chavez, or I don't know if did he knock him out or just beat him up? Whatever he did, I can't remember. Yeah, I beat him up. So you have that spilling over, and so it's a big family, and try to work together as much as possible. But definitely, we want to work with guys such as yourself, engage with the fans, have fan-friendly fights. Our promoter, our owner walks around the Trigon there, shaking hands, taking pictures. He doesn't think he's bigger and badder than anyone else. I know there's other promoters, I have one in particular that they think that they're it, but they're not, bro. They're not God. You know what I mean? He's a fight fan like you and I are. He's just blessed to be able to have the wherewithal and the resources to make this happen.
No, that's
You
true,
know?
man. I've seen it. I mean, throughout the years, I've seen that where promoters they just come in when the fight starts and they leave as soon as the fight ends, and it's like, man, where did they go? They don't stick
Yeah.
around. They don't know nobody, and the
Brother,
fact.
we're at the bar after the fight, wherever we are, talking to fans. That's how it is. We don't go anywhere. This last fight we were at the Hard Rock at the bar there, talking to fans. The fight before that in December, we closed that. We were like at the hotel bar there till 4 a.m. People coming up and saying, well, how, because it was at the James All Night Center, which is attached to the hotel, and in Miami, and people were coming up and talking to us, and that's what it's about, man. It's engaging. It's having fun. Obviously it's a business as well. It's trying to make some money. But at the end of the day, man, life is too short. You got to have fun. And if you break even or make some bucks, I think it's a good thing. And keep it rolling as far as you can, for as long as you can.
No, I mean
You
for
know?
sure, because it does take money to make it happen. Obviously because it is a business. But the fact that there's a lot of engagement because one of the things that I look at is when it comes to followers. I mean, there's fighters out there that have like 20,000, 30,000, and you go through their posts and their comments, and nobody comments. Nobody even hits a like, nothing. And I'm thinking, okay, well, they don't have that kind of power because obviously they don't interchange with the fans. When it
Right.
comes to BYB or other promotions too, I see it and I'm like, man, the fans participate. They go in there, they put in their 2 cents. There's a couple of trollers, of course, but I mean, for the fans themselves, man, for me that says a lot more. I'd rather have 100 people that participate than 10,000 that don't.
Yeah, exactly. And you see that there's a few guys that every day they post something, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
fine if they have that kind of time, good for them, and it just keeps it all moving and fresh. And again, this new crop of fighters that we have, every show I try to inject some new blood. But they're kids that I see that we have, like Toby, like Seth, Seth Schaefer. That fight was incredible between those two. And Toby's he's gonna grow with us, and so is Seth. There's just the gals. We had Erin Tohill, who Erin is out here from Orange County. She's a stalwart in our game. She was on American Gladiator and fought Layla Ali. And look at her, man, 44, doing work in there. You
Oh yeah.
know, so we have a good mixture of veterans and up and coming fighters, and we hope to keep this going, and someday, soon get up there and reach the heights that we want to reach, and we know we can reach, and with our reputation and everything else, I think we're on our way, man.
No, I mean, by all means. One of the things I was going to ask you was because when it comes to fighters, I mean, of course, a lot of MMA guys are jumping over. You got boxers coming in, but what would you tell somebody that's looking to get into bare knuckle? Because of course, it's bare knuckle. I mean, they're going to get punched in the face. But
Yeah,
as a conditioning, as far as getting mentally strong, what would you tell somebody?
man. I would, first of all, would tell you, if you have brittle hands, don't do it. And we know there's some fighters out there who, after every fight, whether it be MMA or boxing, they break their hands.
Yeah.
Don't do it, man. You're gonna break your hand 100%. And do you really want to deal with that 20 years down the line? For a few dollars here. Obviously, I would talk to someone who's done it, who's fought bare knuckle. And Erin, I think Erin had on one of the interviews she did after. She'll tell you it's not the same. And she's been hit by Layla Ali and by MMA, fighters. Once you get smacked in the face, and it's not like a bar fight that can go for a few seconds, right?
Yeah.
This,
Couple rounds,
this is
man.
it's gonna last a little bit longer. So,
Right.
condition your hands, condition your knuckles. These guys are big on doing knuckle push-ups and things like that. Obviously the conditioning is going to be the same, but maybe condition your hands and your knuckles. Maybe you work up some calluses on there. I don't know, man, but you know, however, we don't see as many we see a lot of cuts, obviously, a lot of blood, right? You're going to get those cuts. Uh, I don't see as many broken hands as I thought I would. And we've had a couple, but we haven't had one every show.
Right.
Maybe one or two shows we've had one or two broken hands. But I think that, these guys and gals come in prepared, and more importantly is being mentally prepared. Like you said, you get one knuckle to the eyebrow and you're going to get sliced, and be able to deal with fighting through the blood. And you've seen, the Arzeno, Matil Fonda, Alan Arzeno, Matil Fonda comes to mind. Well, those guys look like freaking exorcists in there with all the blood they had on their face,
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger, it was crazy. And just be able to work through that adversity, because, you see blood and it's coming into your mouth and your eyes, and you're going to panic. And I think they have to learn how to deal with that stuff. But I think the best thing to do would be to talk to someone who's fought bare knuckle and get their experience. And if somebody, that's listening to this or will listen to this, look up our YouTube page. And there's Aaron and some of these other fighters. They'll if you contact them on social media, they'll engage with you. They'll let you know what their experience is, and then you take it from there. You
No,
know?
that's true. Because there's a thing on social media people always post, and it says that at least every person should at least be punched in the face once, and it's because
Absolutely.
happens if you've never been punched, man. I mean, of course, like you said, people do freak out. The fact that it's bare knuckle, it changed. And like for me, if somebody's like, "Hey, I'm gonna punch," this guy's gonna punch you with a glove. Okay, this guy's gonna punch you bare knuckle. I mentally, I'm like, "Oh shit." Okay, hold on, wait, let me think
It's
about
it's
that.
a it's a different animal, bro. Absolutely.
You got to be mentally strong, like you said, and definitely. But that's a good post, man. Especially the guys that or women that are looking to get into that. I mean, of course, message some of these people that have been on there, that have been cut up, and see how they react and how they were able
Yeah.
to kind of look at, mentally.
Yeah. And if anybody here is serious, message me and I'll put you on with someone.
Right.
If you're serious, if you've got some trying, if I look you up and I see you've had some fights, this is not for bar brawlers. And I've had some guys, man, who think they know everything and contact me and say, man, I'm the one you're looking for. I've been in 100 bar brawls. Well, that's not what we want. We don't want ball. We want some technical ability. We want to know that you know how to defend yourself in there and not try to reach for a chair that isn't there. After
Yeah.
you get popped in the face in a couple times. And if you look at our fights with the British guys, I think we're like 1-3 against them because they're boxers. They're not converted MMA fighters over there. They're boxers.
Oh
You
yeah.
know, these are dudes that have that experience, and that's what we're trying to achieve, is to that level. Have our guys be so technically proficient that we're able to send them to England and they're going to pull out victories, because they can defend themselves, and they're not just all out bar brawlers.
No, no,
But
that's
yeah, they have every intention of fighting, and then they get hit a couple times, and they start thinking they're at, Sucio's Bar and Grill at the corner.
they're at their uncle's house fighting in the backyard or something, man.
At a bautizo. You know how it is.
Oh yeah, I know. I've been there. Let me ask you this though, man, because one of the things you did bring up, of course, once again, was the fact that I mean, like, of course, here in the U.S., even though it's been going on for a few years, it's still new. I mean, the sport itself is still new. A lot of people are barely starting to develop those winning records. In England,
Yes.
overseas, of course, they've been doing this for years, and a lot of them have
Yes.
40 fights bare knuckles. So we're a little bit behind when it comes to experience, man. But yeah,
Yes.
in due time, when you guys start developing those fighters that can get that experience and not just become brawlers, but become boxers, and they go overseas, man. I mean, I'm looking forward to that because yeah, I mean, it is a big difference. They're gonna go against guys that've been fighting probably once a month, for years now, and
Right.
but
And have amateur boxing, and most of our guys, they don't have amateur boxing. You know, a lot of these MMA guys do what, a handful of amateur fights and then they go pro.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at these other guys. These boxers have 100, 200 that Oscar have.
Oh, yeah. No,
You know, they had dozens of fights, right?
you see, and that's one of the things I was talking to somebody the other day about it, and it's like, yeah, because boxers, I mean, they start as kids. They start getting rounds in. By the time they're teenagers and they go pro, they've got like 100+ fights already in experience.
Absolutely. Yep. And the MMA guys do not have that.
No,
And
no.
you know that in anything in life, there's nothing like experience, bro. There's no substitute.
Oh,
You
no,
know, if
definitely.
you've done something a couple times as opposed to 100 times, the guy who did it 100 times is probably going to end up being in a better situation at the end of the day,
Oh,
just
definitely.
because that repetition. So, you know, you hit it right on the head, man. That's what we want. We want to develop these fighters that are going to be technically proficient and send them over there and get some wins. And we're having our first championship. What is it? We're doing super. I think we're doing a super cruiserweight championship fight with BKB coming up in June. So I'll let them announce. I can't say, you know, talk more about that, but so that's the first that we're having our combined cross promotional champion.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
dope. Yeah, man, definitely.
which is what should happen, man. This, you know, people talk smack about boxing and the WBC and IBF and all that, but at the end of the day, man, that leads to more opportunity. You know, because you can have guys like Pacquiao and Mayweather not fight in their prime, become multimillionaires, and yes, they fight at the end of the rope, but it was by then it was already too late. But what I'm trying to say is you have different ways of you know, making money and putting on some great fights, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you have more opportunity, and that's what we're about. We're not about like the UFC that they have to fight within the UFC. They can't cross promote with Bellator. That's not what we're about, man. It's not about that. You know? I mean,
No,
wouldn't you like to see MVP from Bellator? What's his name? That kid, the British kid. Oh Jesus, his name escapes me. But wouldn't you like to see him fight some of the guys in the UFC? And now Michael Chandler went over, and guys, you know, come back and forth. But we're not gonna get that because they don't want to do it because that's not what they're about. You know, but we're not like that, bro. We want to cross promote. We want to work with BKB and grow the sport and not just you know, keep it internal, because what does that do?
right. No, yeah,
You know,
it
you're not
keeps
growing anything.
exactly, man. It keeps people from growing. Let me ask you this, because of course the platform that you guys use for the promotion, man, it's a triangle. Tell us about
Yeah.
that, man. I mean, what does that produce, and why the triangle? I mean, what can you tell us about it?
So the triangle, you know, that goes back to the backyard. So BYB stands for, in case you didn't know, backyard brawls,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And this was what Dada, you know, started back in the day. You know, fights. You know, I'm not sure. I think it's that movie, the dog fights, is out on Netflix or something.
Yeah.
Watch that, where they would actually, you know, string up a triangle in the backyard and you know, fight back there until they were, you know, had some issues with the law, because obviously that's illegal, you know, doing fights like, you know, like that in the backyard. But what it does, man, is if you ever get the chance to come out, or if we ever get the opportunity to go to Texas, you know, I'd like for you to come out and step inside that triangle, bro. That thing is small, you know,
Yes, sir.
and it forces the action. Do you got to keep it in the middle? Because if you get caught up in one of those corners,
Yeah.
good luck getting out. You know, so it
Oh,
forces the action. I think we have a last count. I think we have a 90 or 95% knockout rate.
that's
You
right.
know, and that's not because these fighters are bar brawling. It's because that's what the triangle, you know, induces that. It's gonna make you fight. You can't run around the corral, if you know what I mean.
Right,
We don't
right,
have a corral, bro, to run around in. You know, this is a confined space where you need to engage,
right.
right? And you see what we produce. I mean, it speaks for itself. You
No,
know,
I
our
mean,
our fights are action packed, and that's what it's about.
no, yeah. You see, and when of course when I first started watching those, even back then, because I do know about Dada, and I mean the backyard brawls, of course. One of the things was like, oh man, these guys are looking for knockouts, man. And I'm half right because of course they happen, but a lot of it, like you said, it engages people. So now you can't run around 20 feet trying to run away from a fighter or trying to, it's just now it's like, okay, you're in front of me, man. Like you said, we got to stand in the center and start going, man.
That's it. That's it. And God forbid you get stuck in a corner because
I've
if you
seen
have
it.
anyone that knows what they're doing, you're done, man. You're gonna, you're gonna take a knee in there because you can't get out. And it's no fun, man. It's no fun being stuck in that corner, right? So it produces a lot more, fan friendly fights, and the fighters love it. They love that yes, the chances are it's gonna end pretty quickly. A lot of our fights don't go the distance, but you know, it does what it's supposed to do as far as the triangle goes.
Oh, for sure, man. And let me ask you, because of course all that has to do with fighting, but I follow you on social media, of course, man, and you're always at the games. You're always out there with the family, enjoying the other sports, man. So tell us a little bit about what teams have you been following over the years?
You mean like other sports?
Right, right. Like soccer. I mean, of course,
Oh, no, a lot. I mean, you can probably tell that I'm a big Rams fan by by following me. Yeah, listen, man. When I was a little kid, I used to go to the Coliseum in L.A. and watch my buddy's dad would take us. I must have been like 10, and I think because I'm a big dude, so I've always played football, and the horns on the helmet, all that was really attractive to me. So I'm a big Rams and Dodgers fan. For us, the Raza over here, the Dodgers are in LA, and big sports fan. I love it. Spending time with my family there. When I'm not at the fight, of course, fights. I'm every show out here, whether it be Golden Boy or PBC, I'm there, man. I make it out there, and I'm just a big sports fan, and I'm blessed to have the ability to go to these things and have fun and have my family with me. And it's family time. Some people like to go out on picnics. We like to go out to games and fights and stuff. But I think it's healthy to engage in sports and follow your team and be passionate like we are about fighters. Like we were about JC Superstar back in the day, and Juan Manuel Marquez and Oscar. You know what I mean? Those are things that you kind of live vicariously through them. And for example, this last Super Bowl, man, when the Rams left to St. Louis, I was hurt because they left me. I was like, man, these guys. And then next thing you know, I'm at the Super Bowl in LA watching my team win. Life is crazy, man. You never know which way it's going to take you. Who would have thought I'd be matching for money? Actually making a decent amount of money doing this, something that I love. But when it goes to, with take away anything, if you're going to take away anything from this, is follow your dream, man. I started literally driving at lunchtime. I work for LA County. I'm an investigator. Back in the day, I would at lunchtime drive to gyms and look at fighters. Literally drive. Since my office was in downtown, there's a lot of gyms in Hollywood. I would drive down to Hollywood or down to Maywood or Azteca Gym in the hood and look at fighters, and that's how it started. And now look, I do it, now with the cell phone and social media, it's a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
But I never thought I was going to be doing this stuff, and talking to someone like you. I mean, but it was a hobby that turned into something that makes me a little cerveza money,
Oh yeah.
and I enjoy doing, right? So
Oh,
so
definitely.
don't give up, man. And look at you, look what you. I'm sure you never thought you're going to be doing podcasts. 10 years ago, what the hell's a podcast?
Oh yeah, bro. I mean, for me, I think about the Jetsons cartoons back in the day where you're talking to a TV. It's the same thing, man. It's like
It's the same
futuristic.
thing, right? Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what this is, man. Now we're on the phone talking about fights, and that's the most important thing is you're having fun because life is too short, you
Definitely.
know.
And that's one of the things now, man, because I do enjoy what I do. I mean, the fact that I'm able to talk to fighters, to matchmakers, to promoters, I'm having a blast. I enjoy it. I
Yeah.
appreciate it. But my man, I am
Yeah.
going to be looking. I mean, the next bout coming up, of course, is going to be on May 28th in Biloxi, Mississippi, Biloxi Brawl. I'm going to be
Yeah.
watching. I'm going to kind of card you set up, and we'll catch up once again, man. Thank you for your time, bro.
Yeah, and if you decide to go down, let me know. Let us know. We'll definitely take care of you down there.
Oh
And
man,
it's not too far from San Antonio, right? I mean, maybe a short flight or whatever.
oh yeah, man, definitely. I'll fly it because I ain't driving, bro. Gas is too high.
Yeah, right. All right, man. Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and yeah, definitely hit me up anytime.
I will, man. Thank you, sir. Everybody
All right,
out
brother.
there.
All right.
Yes. Till next time. Follow up.
All right, brother.